Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we have a vintage Nika lighter made in Switzerland. This is probably the most unique lighter that I have ever come across. I made a video for this well over a year ago, one of the first videos that I made when I went to the longer format and began publishing videos every weekday morning. Of all the lighters that I currently have for sale, this is probably the one that I wish I didn't have to sell, that I could just put off over there in my collection and keep it, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit any of my themes. It would just be standing alone there. I would only be keeping it basically because it is what I believe to be probably the rarest lighter that I've ever owned. I was rewatching the original video that I made earlier today and realized that the sound was very poor. So hopefully we can improve on that while gaining some deeper perspective on this lighter. This is an aluminum block lighter, aluminum block Petrol roller lighter. See, it is marked Geneve, looks like Geneve. I think that's Geneva. It says Swiss made. I think that's just the Swiss spelling. The hinge is very heavy duty construction. You're not going to bend that hinge. If you do, then it's pretty much going to be worthless. There's no way it's going to come down square if it's bent at all. It's a very sturdy hinge, probably the best hinge design I've ever seen. Now, what we're depressing here is the Flint Spring. There is no Flint Spring screw, and for right now I'm just pulling these out, or pulling this out along with the flint, so that we can take a look at and disassemble some of the rest of the lighter without the hindrance of the flint trying to grind on that file wheel. But you get a glimpse of the mechanism there, and we'll take a deeper look when we put it back together. But that is your flint and your Flint Spring. This particular lighter does not have a Flint Spring screw. You will also notice that the roller is on the opposite side. It threads in with the screw on top counterclockwise, or threads out. It's the opposite of the way you would expect it to. So to loosen it, you're going clockwise, like I'm doing here. To tighten it, you would go counterclockwise. But when we pull this screw out, then you will see sort of the modular design. And I think my friend Stuart Linton would appreciate this one, as he likes to disassemble his lighters completely. See that long shaft with the file wheel up top with the slot to thread it into place on the top, and then the threads actually down there toward the bottom. But that smaller part of the pin fits into the body of the aluminum block lighter and holds the bottom in place. Then the threads hold everything in place. The pin is sort of the keeper. The threads are what's going to hold it. You couldn't put that in there the wrong way, because one side is bigger. The top side is bigger than the bottom, for obvious reasons that we just discussed. So then to tighten that up, we're just going to go down by hand counterclockwise, and that's tight enough because of the tension and you'll see here in a minute. One of the other reasons for me making this video was our friend Boo Rock Beer, who I have not heard from in a long time, but was one of our early commenters and contributors to the discussion about these videos that we have been publishing. And he noted that because of the position of the roller, that it appeared to be a left-handed lighter. But now I don't believe that to be the case. I thought of it then and I agreed with him. But once I got it back out, like I said, I got to thinking about that, and that's what made me get it back out. Put the flint back down in, groove side back down. Kind of tap it to get it in position. Now this is basically just kind of a wedge. I believe it is heat treated steel, which will have strength to give, but as you drive it into that hole, it's going to put a sufficient amount of torque on the flint to get the pressure that is needed to create a spark when that file wheel is turned. Now, because of the way that this roller is designed, if you try to, well, maybe I shouldn't just say the roller, the entire mechanism and the way that it holds that pressure. If you try to turn it the wrong way, it just unthreads. That's the way a right-handed person would roll a roller lighter. If one were made specifically for a left-handed person, I would expect it to be rolled downward. In other words, the opposite direction, just as the wheel is on the opposite side of the lighter. But that's not the case with this. You can't turn it that way. Even if the threads would hold and it didn't back that screw out, because of the pressure being held against the flint, even if it were not for that, it still wouldn't work because of the knurling of the file wheel and the direction that it has to go in order to create the spark, in order to cut into the flint and create the spark. So I've thought a lot about our friend Boo Rock Beer over the last couple of years, and I thought a lot about this particular lighter. So I'm glad that I finally got it out and tested it to see. But it still appears to me that this is not designed for a left-handed user, which I am, a left-handed person. For a left-handed person to light this, for you to call it a left-handed lighter, you would basically might as well call it a two-handed lighter. To be able to operate it with one hand, which is still very difficult to do, but in order to do that, the only perceivable way that I can see to get a hold of it and strike that wheel is with the right hand. You can see some corrosion has occurred there in the recess for the fuel screw. The fuel screw still has its thin cardboard gasket and spare flint container with the spare flint inside. We're going to go ahead and grab this bottle of Ronsinol we got sitting in the background there and fill it up, and then we will give this thing a go here in a minute. It is kind of mixed emotions whether or not I want to sell this lighter, but right at the moment I need to sell some lighters. So this is one that I would definitely be glad to see go right now, simply because it's going to take some money for somebody to get it away from me. It's going to take a serious offer. I just don't see any reason to give away something that is obviously so scarce, and not only that, but here you can see how awkward it was trying to strike it right-handed. You're going to see several attempts here with both hands. and it'll light several times. We could have maybe got it tuned up a little better if we'd taken our time, let the fuel settle down and get the splint grooved real well, but we were just experimenting anyway and taking a second look. Not just the scarcity, but the coolness and uniqueness of the Flint tension mechanism. So make sure you get over to our eBay store and check this one out. As I said, very unique, very nifty, little lighter, even if it can't be operated the way that you would typically expect to. Until next time.